Hi, this is Chuck with Nerd3D. We're going to take a look at dependencies in Poser. Now, what exactly are Poser dependencies? What do they mean to you? Well, you probably use them all the time and don't really even think about it. The best example is a full body morph. Now, I have Roxy loaded here, and in the body part of Roxy, there are a lot of full body morphs. And one of them is voluptuous. And I'm just going to go ahead and spin the dial here, and this is something you've probably already done. And when you spin the dial, the shape of the entire body changes. Actually, there's a lot going on behind the scenes when that happens. What's really happening is morphs on each individual body part are being controlled by this one dial. That's what poser dependencies are. It allows any one dial in the scene to control any other or any other group of dials in the scene. Okay, so what does this mean to you? Well, first of all, let's take a look at the Poser dependency editor. What I'm going to do on the voluptuous dial, I'll click this little triangle thing here and pick out Edit Dependencies. This is the dependency editor, and this is how we edit and create dependencies inside of Poser. Now, the top part of it is basically the master dial. This is the dial that's going to control all of the other morphs. The second part of it, in the middle, this is the list of the morphs that are being controlled. In the bottom of the window, this is the type of dependency and the control ratio. Now, there's two kinds of dependencies that can be created and used inside a Poser. Now, this delta add type here, or a conventional dependency, this is most frequently used on things like full body morphs and something else called joint controlled morphs. We'll get into that in later tutorials. The dependency, this delta add dependency, it is basically a linear control between the master and each of these slave dials. Now, let's actually do something with this. Let's make a change to this morph. What I'm going to do is set the voluptuous morph to 1, and you'll notice I'm setting it on the dependency editor here. This dial will remain displayed, and it's going to be this, it's the same thing as this master dial down here. And the reason it shows up here is because we're going to be moving around a lot in here. Just to show you what we can do with this, let's say, for example, I want the voluptuous morph to be more strong on the legs of the figure or on the thighs of the figure. So what I want to do is, say the left and right thigh, I want the morph to be more strongly applied when voluptuous is dialed to 1 from the body. So I click on the left thigh, and you'll see it when I clicked on it here, it automatically took me to the body part where that morph is located. That saves you time when you're looking around and editing these things. So how do I make a change? How do I change what this does? There's two ways to do it. There's the intuitive or touchy-feely way where you spin the dials, and there's the mathematical way where you just type stuff in. First, we'll do it the intuitive or the way you see things dial. You click Start Teaching here, and from now on, everything I do will be recorded as a dependency of this voluptuous master dial. So while I've got teaching punched on, I'm going to go ahead and spin this dial to be, oh, I don't know, let's say 1.5 or so. So now I've recorded a change, and you'll notice that the value in the delta now is 1.58. I kind of missed. I'm going to go ahead and type that in because I want 1.5. And that's actually the other way of doing it. So in order to get the morph to work the same on both sides, I'll go ahead and click Stop Teaching because I don't want to leave this turned on, because I could accidentally spin something. For example, if you were to restore the figure when you had Start Teaching turned on, it would record every single body part rotation in the figure as a dependency of the voluptuous morph, and that makes a really big mess. So the other way to change this is I'll go to the right thigh and I can just type the value in here. That's if I already know the numbers that I want. Well, now what I've done is I've made a change to the voluptuous full body morph. So now when I spin this dial, the full body morph for the legs is set to a stronger value than it was before. The full body morph in the legs actually is set to 1.5. You can see this little number at the top right here. That shows you how strongly the morph is being controlled by its master. The bottom number would be set to a number if I had manually spun the dial for the body part down here, and you can see that happening there when I spin the dial. If I type a 0 in there, it sets it back to where it's only being controlled by the master dial. So that's how you use the dependency editor to edit a full body morph. Now, I mentioned that there was another kind of dependency that Poser uses. And once again, this is something that you've seen and used a lot, but probably didn't realize it was a dependency. In the hands of the figure, there are hand controls. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick the grasp here. And from the grasp dial, I'm going to go ahead and open the dependency editor again. Now you see the name of the parameter is grasp again. You'll notice the bottom half of this looks very different than it did before, and this is because it's using what's called a keyed dependency. The difference between the keyed and the delta add or conventional dependencies is that there's more than one control point. It allows us to set non-linear or curved actions. And once again, we'll explain more about the keyed dependencies later in another tutorial. But for now, suffice to say, what you have is instead of one control point, in this particular dependency, there's actually 3. And you can see the little keys illustrated here in the curve. And as I move the little slider back and forth, let me get zoomed in on the hand here so you can actually see what's going on. Need to move the hand out a little bit so we can see what's going on there. As I move this back and forth, you can see the hand moving. And in order to create natural motion of the hand, we didn't want all the fingers to move at exactly the same time. And that's what this curve allows you to do. In the first part of the motion, this first index finger doesn't really move very much, but as you get further out in the motion, it moves more and more. And that's what the curved or keyed dependencies do. The rest of it works pretty much the same as the regular delta add or conventional dependencies. This should get you started using the dependency editor. In the next tutorial, we'll learn how to set up a new dependency. Thanks for watching and have fun using Poser.